Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Capital City News, your connection to Salt Lake City government. I'm your host, Poonam Kumar. On today's show, we'll be talking to District 5 Council Member Erin Mendenhall about Salt Lake City Fire Department's Camp Athena program. And our History Minute is about the first encampment park. But first, let's start with our legislative update and look back. The new fiscal year began on July 1st. This year's city budget, which the council adopted in June, includes funding for tree replacement and additional training for police officers who work with victims of sexual assault. The council's next meetings are July 12th and July 19th. The Salt Lake City and Sandy police departments train the next generation of officers at the Utah Explorer Police Academy. The academy, an intense week-long interactive police training, involved youth from 14 to 20 years old and was one of the largest youth Explorer academies ever held in Utah. Over half of the explorers were female and represent diverse populations, a trend the police department hopes to continue. His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama visited Salt Lake City to share his words of compassion and universal responsibility. And upon his arrival, he was welcomed by Salt Lake City Mayor Jackie Biskupski and Salt Lake County Mayor Ben McAdams. His Holiness spoke to an audience of over 12,000 guests at the University of Utah. Salt Lake City fire officials, joined by elected city leaders and construction experts, broke ground on a new fire station number 14, located at 1285 South, 3800 West. Fire Station 14 will be the second net zero fire station in the country. The public attended a series of workshops hosted by the city to learn more about those experiencing homelessness. Together, city officials, service agencies, and residents discussed how a new model for homeless services could be incorporated into the greater community. In late June, the city's Homeless Services Commission met to address preliminary findings from the 4 workshops. The public engagement process will continue with the launch of an online survey. For more information, visit Open City Hall. Thousands gathered to discover new thinking, sights, sounds, and vibes at the 40th Annual Utah Arts Festival. Mayor Jackie Biskupski and the Salt Lake City Arts Council presented the Mayor's Artist Awards to 3 individuals and 3 organizations in the following categories: Service to the Arts, Visual Arts and Performing Arts, and a special recognition was awarded to the Utah Arts Festival for their years of service cultivating an appreciation for the arts in our community. Mayor Jackie Biskupski and community leaders launched a new program called the Urban Greens Market to help Westside communities access more affordable and healthy food. The market, now open for immediate business, brings fresh farm food to Glendale and Poplar Grove neighborhoods. For more details about the market, visit slcgreen.com. Camp Athena is a new fire department program introducing young women to careers in the fire service. Councilmember Mendenhall is here to tell us about the genesis and the importance of this new program.
When I started on the council and we were looking at staffing documents, I noticed how few firefighters were women. And I asked the chief then and the Chief Dale when he came in as interim chief, why don't we have more women and where are we losing them in the hiring process? They were incredibly self-reflective. They came back and said, it's not that we're losing them in the hiring process, it's that they are not applying in the first place to any great number. And so we started to examine ways that we could engage women in the community and even young women in the community to start planting that seed that our fire department in Salt Lake City takes them seriously as candidates and that we want them to consider a career in the fire department. Yeah, I'm so impressed with the way the fire department embraced the opportunity to engage young women in Salt Lake City. They reached out to a number of schools and organizations to invite young women to attend a whole day, even into the night camp out at the Fire Training Center, where they would suit up, they would fight fires, they used the jaws of life to cut open cars and did some of the physical aspects of the job. They also learned about what it takes, education and training-wise, and what that kind of a lifestyle is like for the firefighters. The women in our fire department were on hand that day to act as mentors and talk to them about what this kind of a job and lifestyle is. And I hope it had a great effect. When I met with those young women, they were having a great time. And the goal of this process for me was that they really think about a life in the fire department here with Salt Lake City in the future, not necessarily right out of high school, but it's planting that seed that we take them seriously. I talked about community service, being engaged in the community, and that it really starts by caring about where you live. It's obvious to me that they all are already there. That's why they showed up at a camp like Camp Athena. They're engaged kind of young women, and so they're already capable of being leaders in our community. I talked to these young women about the great childhood I had a little bit, and that my parents told me all the time, you can be anything you want to be. And I actually believed them. Then in looking back, there was a time in my life that I didn't believe them. And what I learned after I got through that somehow was that was the time in my life when I wasn't showing up and I wasn't stepping up. And I told them those are the two keys to a successful life that they're gonna love. Not just showing up, but being present when you show up. Stepping up, stepping into a place where you're willing to be awkward. You're willing to not know anyone else there. And that when you're doing that and you're open to that kind of an experience, you have the chance to transform. And that was, I hope, their experience in some small way at Camp Athena.
Next up is our History Minute.
When the Mormon Pioneer Company first entered the Salt Lake Valley, the first order of business was to find a suitable campground for their first night. The new settlers followed Emigration Creek down until they found just the right spot. Thomas Bullock, the company clerk, recorded in his journal, quote, "We descended a gentle sloping tableland to a lower level where the soil and grass improved in appearance. The wheat grass grows 6 or 7 feet high. Many different kinds of grass appear, some being 10 or 12 feet high. After wading around through thick grass for some distance, we found a place bare enough for a camping ground, the grass being only knee-deep, but very thick. We camped on the banks of a beautiful little stream, Parley's Creek, which was surrounded by very tall grass. Eventually they moved further north, closer to where the city center would be, and turned the spot of their first camp into farmland. In 1997, a spot on the corner of 1700 South and 500 East was dedicated as First Encampment Park to commemorate this spot where the Mormon settlers spent their first night in the valley.
Thanks for watching this episode of Capital City News. We hope you tune in next time to stay up to date on all the latest. Thanks for watching.